The Carolina Panthers just lost to the Chicago Bears 36-10. Shout out to the Chicago Bears for taking care of business. This game should have not went in this direction. And I understand that the Carolina Panthers are dealing with a lot of injuries and it's a brand new head coach yet again. But it's the same thing every single season with this organization. Andy Dalton is still the best quarterback to have out there long term over the course of this season. When I look at Bryce Young, he came in today. He was 4-7, 58 passing yards. Andy Dalton, 18 of 28, 136 passing yards, 0 passing touchdowns, 1 interception. Chuba Hubbard had 97 rushing yards. He averaged 7 yards a carry. That's a bit of a catfish stat because he had a rush that went for 38 yards and he did fumble the football as well. They're outmatched every single game. Except for the Las Vegas Raiders, they have been outmatched every single game. Dating back to what happened against the New Orleans Saints, dating back to what happened against the Los Angeles Chargers, they are not a very good football team. They have good players. As a team, they're not good. And it's very demoralizing because you look at what happened this offseason. They went out there and they brought in 2 very good offensive guards, and they tried to go into the right direction. David Tepper was more hands-off. Yes, he brought in a brand new general manager, a brand new head coach, but besides that, he was very hands-off this offseason. Years before, we've seen him be very heavy-handed, and they thought that Bryce Young was going to come out there and take that leap, but instead, he hasn't. When I look at this Panthers team right now, they're still one of the worst teams in the NFL. And it's been the same thing underneath David Tepper year after year after year. To see how they lost today was so demoralizing because you traded DJ Moore away to go get Bryce Young, and DJ Moore went out there and had 2 receiving touchdowns, and he had 1 great play on Michael Jackson's head. He had 5 catches for 105 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdowns, and this was easily Caleb Williams' best game in his NFL career up to this point. And Caleb Williams has potential to be a superstar in the NFL, but he has struggled so far in every single game up to this point. They can't get consistent pass rush. Jadeveon Clowney went out in today's game, but we already know about him in the past. He's not a true franchise pass rusher, and he's dealt with injuries in the past as well. When I look at this Carolina Panthers team right now, the way that it's constructed, you have a bunch of guys on 1-year deals. Deontay Johnson is on a 1-year deal. Adam Thielen, who has missed the last 2 games, he's on a 1-year deal as well. But those are very good football players. When your leading receiver is Jalen Coker, that's not a very good sign. And he's a rookie. You have Xavier Legette as well. So like I mentioned earlier in the video, nice players, good players. As a team, it just doesn't work. And right now on the offensive end, Andy Dalton is not good enough to get them over the hump. Even though I really like their wide receiving core, and I do believe that their wide receiving core is slept on. They need to go out there and get a franchise quarterback. They need to go out there and get more defensive pieces as well. They went out there and they moved off defensive pieces to bring in some offensive help. I do think that Dave Canales long-term will be a very good head coach. I like what he is doing so far with Andy Dalton. You're just being outmatched. He is targeting certain levels of the field. He's working to the strengths of Andy Dalton, and the same with Bryce Young as well. And I don't think it's one of those situations where the Panthers aren't winning football games to Andy Dalton anymore, slide in Bryce Young. No, you've already went out there. You've basically opened up Pandora's box. You benched Bryce Young. You basically said, hey, we want to reset here. We think that he can be our guy long term. That's not the case. Bryce Young went out there the first 2 games of the season. He didn't look good. Andy Dalton comes in against the Las Vegas Raiders, plays phenomenal. And he's not the reason why they're losing these games. He did very good last week against the Cincinnati Bengals. He scored 24 points. Well, the offense as a whole scored 24 points. Their defense is not able to hold up due to injuries and a bunch of young players. And I will also say this. I really like their defensive coordinator. Maybe having Mike Jackson in single coverage against DJ Moore, the best receiver on the Bears, is not the key look. Maybe you put J.C. Horn, your best cornerback, on him. Those guys know each other. They practice against each other. They know their tendencies. That was just a stupid play call by the defensive coordinator to have Mike Jackson in one-on-one coverage with DJ Moore. And by the way, Mike Jackson did a very good job in coverage. He just got mossed. And I don't think that he's just a terrible cornerback to look at. He's not like C.J. Henderson. At least he can stick with the opposing wide receiver. But it's the same thing over and over again. You don't have Derek Brown anymore. He tore his meniscus a couple weeks ago. He's going to miss his entire season. When you look at a guy like Shaq Thompson, has been the lifeline in a linebacking room, has been so good in there, has been Mr. Consistent since Luke Kuechly retired. But you look at the last 2 seasons. Last season, when he got injured, wasn't his fault. Teammate throws a Saints player on his leg, fractures his leg. He's out for season. This season, last week, he tears his Achilles. I think the writing is on the wall for him. I think that he is done as a Carolina Panther. I think that they're going to move off for him after this season, and they're going to go into a brand new direction. The linebacking room has been a major problem since Luke Kuechly retired. And Shaq Thompson hasn't been a bad player. Josie Jewell missed today's game. But even when he's been fully healthy, he hasn't been that game-changing linebacker. He's no Frankie Louvu. Frankie Louvu could do everything for you. Pass rush, very good in coverage, very good at tackling. And he wanted to leave. The Panthers wanted him to stay. He walked away. He went to the Washington Commanders. And they bring in Josie Jewell. They thought that he was going to be a player that could come in and just fit everything that they wanted him to do. It hasn't been the case. When I also look at the defensive system as a whole, it's not the same. A lot of that is because of the players are injured and the talent isn't the same. But Coach E is not coaching the same either. Your defense was able to go out there and play at least solid plays over the last 3 seasons. That's not the case anymore. Now they can't stop anyone. And your offense is not good enough to go out there and score over 25 points every single week. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in that quarterback room. I would stick with Andy Dalton personally. But I can also see them flipping back to Bryce Young because this franchise is dysfunctional as hell because of who the owner is. Just because Bryce Young had 4 nice throws today doesn't mean that he's ready to go back into that fire. Because they have tougher competition coming up for the rest of this season. Today was just a heartbreaking loss because in the last couple of games, at least they were able to stay competitive. They weren't competitive today. You lost by 26 points to a rookie quarterback and to a former wide receiver that was amazing for this team for so many years. And you traded all those picks away to go get Bryce Young. It's the same song and dance every single season. When you think they're going out there and they're doing the right thing, a couple months later, it was the wrong decision. I really wish the Carolina Panthers were in a better situation. Because now we're heading into Cleveland Browns territory. To when would this team ever be good at this point? I don't know what's next for the Carolina Panthers, honestly. I don't see them winning many football games for this upcoming season. The positives are this. You have a very good player in Xavier Legette. I think when Jonathan Brooks comes in, he's going to be a very good running back. That's going to be very interesting because Chuba Hubbard has been Mr. Consistent. He's been a very good running back over the last couple of seasons. But you'll bring in Jonathan Brooks, who is still recovering from that ACL injury that he suffered in college. You have some fun players there. The offensive line is not as bad as it has been in the past. From tackle to tackle, they do look solid. This is my early prediction for the Carolina Panthers. If they finish with a top 3 to top 5 pick, I do believe that they will select a quarterback in the first round. And I do believe that quarterback will be Quinn Ewers or Cam Ward from Miami. I don't see them going with a guy like Carson Beck. He's not high on my board. I think Carson Beck is more so a 4th or a 5th round pick. And Jalen Milroe, I do not believe that he's ready to step into the NFL just yet. But I do believe a guy like Quinn Ewers from Texas will be the next quarterback for the Carolina Panthers, or a guy like Cam Ward. Because when you look at it with Bryce Young, they brought in all the weapons. They brought in all the wide receivers that they can. It just hasn't worked out. And we'll see if they go back to him as a starter. If he goes out there and he does play better, maybe he could be their long-term quarterback. Especially with a guy like Dave Canales, who has a lot of faith in him still. We'll see. But right now, as it stands with the Carolina Panthers, they're still one of the worst teams in the NFL. They just want to be competitive in every single game moving forward. And I don't know if they can be because of the injuries to the defense and with the inconsistency with the quarterback play with Andy Dalton. And by the way, I am not saying this is on him at all because it is unfair. He was not supposed to be in this situation. That was not the plan. We know what Andy Dalton is at the age of 36 years old. He's a guy that will go out there a couple of games. He'll give you 2 to 3 passing touchdowns. And then the next week he'll come back down to earth. And he won't just play horrible. He's not going to be the main reason why you lose football games. And I do not want that to be the narrative moving forward with the Carolina Panthers. The only reason that they're losing football games is because of Andy Dalton. That's not the case. And the same with Bryce Young as well, because they have bigger issues than just a quarterback problem. But unfortunately, if you can go out there and bring in a very good quarterback, they can mask a lot of problems. At the end of the day, the Panthers made a huge mistake, and you guys know what I'm about to say. They made a mistake with picking the wrong quarterback. And this is what happens. They can't mask certain problems on the offensive end, and when you look at the defense, just too many injuries and not enough talent. And it's sad to see this team go out sad in every single season over the last couple of years. You just get tired of just getting put into the same situation. You just get tired of seeing the same thing over and over again. It doesn't matter who the head coach is. It doesn't matter who's on the defense. It doesn't matter who's on the offensive end. Because the culture with the team right now is not good. And Dave Canales is doing the best that he can. I'm seeing this man trying to scheme up plays. He's trying to call the best plays possible. He's trying to target certain levels of the field. He even did that with Bryce Young. I know that he's a very good coach because he was a very good coach with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yes, the Buccaneers have way better weapons than the Carolina Panthers, but this is the same man that had a great scheme against the Bengals last week, had a very good scheme against the Las Vegas Raiders by targeting the yards 5 to 10 yards out and forcing defensive coordinators to make adjustments, and then he'll run the football with Chuba Hubbard, and then he'll work off a play action. This is the best coach that they have had in this tight window because it is a short sample size. Based off of play calling and clock management, this is the best coaching that I have seen since they fired Ron Rivera. Matt Rule was terrible at it. Frank Reich was terrible at it as well, and the same with Thomas Brown when he was the interim offensive coordinator. He's doing the best that he can. It just comes down to a talent issue and a culture issue. And I wish the Carolina Panthers nothing but the best, but right now it's not a pretty sight. But just let me know in the comment section below, how do you guys feel about the Carolina Panthers right now and moving forward for the rest of the season? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, we want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless.